Welcome to this month's book haul. I am Brittany, and as the title and thumbnail suggests, this is a video about all the books that I bought in February. So there's like over 40 of them. So we're just gonna go ahead and get into them. That's one of the stacks. There's two more. I'm gonna start off with my Empyrean series books. That way, in case you don't care about them, you can just skip past it. But as you can tell, I am pretty obsessed. And I found a few special editions. So yeah, I'm excited. One of them was actually supposed to get delivered today and it didn't. So that's going to have to wait till next month's video because this is the last day of February. So if I'm going to do this, I need to do it tonight. I was sick for about 2.5 weeks and that allowed me to knock off a few books. I listened to audiobooks and I read physical books as well, but audiobooks is my preferred method of consumption. And I normally just do it like while I'm in the car and I work from home, so I don't drive around a lot. So I don't usually get through a ton of books. However, I was sick for 2.5 weeks and we don't have a TV installed in our bedroom yet because we just moved in right before Christmas and we just haven't got there yet. So I was able to knock out a few. So I will do a separate video reviewing the books that I read this month, which were quite a few. I mean, not compared to some. It was only like 4 or 5, but still. Okay, so first off, if you are still on the hunt for a 1/1 Iron Flame, do not lose hope. I got this at Half Price Books yesterday. You can see the price there, $14.99. It was like $16.04 after tax. And just to prove it's a 1/1, you got it right there. First edition, 1/1. So for $16. I actually already have one. That's what this one is right here. It's a signed 1/1. So I'll definitely be keeping that one. And then I will most likely use this one to trade with somebody else or to put toward a trade because I'm not going to like request a ridiculous amount out of it. I'm just not. Like, I found it for cheap. I'm not going to stiff somebody else out of it. But I do know that you can't get these just everywhere. And so if I can get another special edition and like maybe do like part trade, part purchase, I'm going to do that. So the other one that I got, if you're unfamiliar, there are 2 German special edition sets. One is like the standard one from the publisher, and then one is from an officially licensed vendor. And I have been working on both sets. This one is the standard one from the publisher. That's the one for Fourth Wing. And here is the one for Iron Flame. So as you can see, it's got awesome sprayed edges. If you don't know what these look like without the dust jackets, they're awesome. Like so much to the point where I almost wanted to get double sets so I could display it edges out and cover out because each one has a different dragon on it. So the one on Fourth Wing is like a goldish color. I'm assuming it's supposed to be Andarna. This one seems like it's supposed to be for Terran, although it's got some purple in it, which would, make you think more Andarna. But, and I'm not necessarily certain that they like full on go for, but you can see some black in there with the purple. I got this from Japan's Amazon website. So this wasn't like, I didn't pay crazy amount for this. I bought it as a regular brand new book. I think with shipping, well, I bought 2 from international Amazon, so I don't remember which one was which. One was like 30 or 40 and the other one was like 50 with shipping, so like included. So like you can still get these. You just got to go to other countries' Amazons to do it. This one came from Japan, and Japan had Onyx Storm as well. But I had already purchased it from Germany's Amazon. And here is that one. So yeah, we got the German special edition to complete the set as of now. Obviously, there's still 2 more books in the series. And then let me show you the dragon on this one because it looks awesome, especially on camera. So obviously, I think this, if we're going with the theme, is supposed to be Sigale. And I do actually want to show you the map in the Fourth Wing one because it is awesome, or the Iron Flame one, because it's awesome. Like a true full color map. And then it's just got like the wing structure and then a map in the back with Besgaiath. If I can turn just one page. And then this one has the same blue scale map that like the Target special edition in the US. I mean, obviously it's in German. But yeah. And then the same breakdown of like who's who. So yeah, the other special edition I was supposed to get is from the second set of German editions. So this one is Fourth Wing, this one is Iron Flame. And those are from, I have no idea how to say the name, and I'm totally going to butcher it. I'm sorry, but it's like Boosh or something. I don't know. It translates to book box. And so they're an officially licensed vendor. I was supposed to get it at the end of January, but they were having issues getting their design approved because since they are licensed, they have to get approval from, I'm assuming, Red Tower. I'm not really sure how all that works with the licensing. But they were struggling to get the design approved, and they finally did, and it's shipping, and it was supposed to arrive today, and it didn't. So, but that will complete that set. I'll have it in the next video. So, okay. And these next 3 books came from Book Outlet. I bought the first book in this series from Book Outlet, and it was the only one they had on there. And then next week they added the rest of them, so I had to get them. And that is the Horseman series. So I already have Pestilence, which is the first book. We've got War, which is the second, Famine, which is the third, and Death, which is the fourth. I have not read this series yet. It's high-ish up on my list. So with any of these books in this video, let me know if you've read them, what you thought about them, which ones need to be moved right up to the top of the TBR, which ones you DNF'd. Like, let me know all the things. Just try and keep it spoiler-free, because I do like to, obviously experience the book without knowing what's going to happen. So, okay, this next one I'm actually super excited about because it's seriously like one of the prettiest books I've ever seen. I ordered this one. They had extra stock on Bookish Box's website. So like you didn't need to be a member. I am a subscriber now. I am a member now. I was not when this came out originally. And I had actually already had this book on my radar. I was interested in reading it, and I almost got it, I think from Book Outlet or somewhere. And I just didn't. I held off, and then I saw this special edition and had to get it. And I'm so, so glad I did. And that is Lore of the Wilds. I can't explain how gorgeous this book is in person. The camera absolutely does not do it justice. You can see all like the gold foiling. It is so, so pretty. Even the side, like we've got all these like gold foiling specks that really stand out in person. The back of it, all this that you see here, that's all actual like gold foil. So in person, it's just so shiny and pretty. And then beautiful sprayed edges all the way around. It's so stunning. There's the artwork inside. And then because it is Bookish Box, it is signed as well. So that's fun. And then here is the back cover art. So it's just, it's seriously so pretty. Like when I got this book, I just like sat and stared at it. Yeah, so I'm so glad to have that in my collection. These actually all came. So another location, Ollie, just like the, I don't know, bargain store. I saw a video, I think on TikTok, where somebody posted that they got books at Ollie. And I was like, well, there's one right by my house. I've never been in there. Let's go check it out. And I actually walked away with a few books, most of which I hadn't heard of. They just kind of looked interesting. So this one is Mirage. I will say one thing though, Ollie's stickers are fucking terrible. I have not tried the trick yet with a hairdryer. Let me know if that actually works. Let me know what your best tricks are for getting all the sticky residue off of your books, because that's frustrating. But yeah. Okay. Next one is Blade Breaker, which is part of her Realm Breaker series. I have all of her Red Queen series, and I have 2 of the 3 books in this series, and I've never read a single one of them. But I keep finding them for cheap, so I'm picking them up so that I have the series when it's time to read them. This one did not have a price tag on it though, and I went to go check out, and it turns out it was only like $2. It was actually the cheapest of all the books that I got there, and it's in like perfect condition. So And I think this one didn't have a sticker on it. That was part of the problem. And somehow it was $2. I don't know that it was supposed to be $2, but I certainly wasn't going to argue. This was another one. And again, these are ones where I'm just like, oh, that looks interesting. And then I like read a paragraph or two of the description. I'm like, yeah, sure, it's a few bucks. Why not? So this is what we've ended up with here. And then this one actually has kind of a little bit of a funny story. I got this also at Ollie. And I picked it up. Actually, when I first saw it, I thought, like, this screams one of my best friends. So, best friend that lives in Louisville. We're like kind of polar opposites. Like, she's blonde hair and like, pretty and bubbly. And she's like, skinny. And she's very like trendy and effortlessly amazing. You know what I mean? Like, she's just one of those people where you're like, ugh, I hate you, but I love you. And I saw this and she doesn't read like normally the same kind of books I do. Like, she likes thrillers and, stuff like that. I saw this and for some reason I was just like, this screams KG is her nickname. That's what we call her, or Cage. I was like, this screams Cage. Like, let me just check this out. And so I read it. I was like, okay, it sounds kind of interesting. It's cheap. I'll get it. And then I went to visit her this past weekend. And I almost brought this book to her to be like, I think you should read this. I feel like this is a book you're going to like. And I was sitting on her couch and telling her about this book. And I couldn't remember for the life of me the name of it. And she's like, well, what does it look like? And so I started describing the color. And she was standing behind me at like her little bookshelf. She's not a huge reader. She doesn't have a ton of books, but she reads periodically. And she has like, a couple of bookcases with some shelves on it. And I started describing this cover and she was like, oh, is it like this one? And I turned around and she was literally holding this fucking book. So she does not have very many books. She's not a huge reader. And somehow the book that I was like, oh, that just screams her, was one of the ones that she had. And she read it and she loved it, but she doesn't remember anything about it. She's one of those readers where she reads a book and then it just goes right out of her head when she's done. So anyways, okay. All right. And then the last one from this stack, there's two more, is Hemlock Queen. I already have the first book. I think I got both of these from Book Outlet, maybe, actually. Maybe Half Price Books. I'm not really sure. Maybe it was a combo, one or the other, but I now have them both. And I am excited to check them out. Let me know what you think, because I've heard it talked about a little bit, but not like a super ton. Okay, so on to the second stack. I think most of these, in case you can't tell, are going to be from Book Outlet. Quite a few are from Half Price Books as well. So we have Hunter's Gambit, which again, a lot of these I just buy because like I look at the cover, the title, maybe read the description. I'm like, yeah, why not? Cross My Heart, which this one's a little small one. Get through that pretty quickly. Cruel Prince. And Assistant to the Villain. Okay, then we have Filthy Rich Vampire. Which this one's pretty. The other one's even prettier though, the next one up. But you can see it's got some foiling, which I appreciate. Then we have Filthy Rich Fae. This one definitely has some foiling. And it's kind of hard to see. It kind of just blends and looks mostly yellow. But there is a little more definition in person to just kind of have like a little floral design. So I haven't really heard much about these books. So I don't know if they're actually any good. But when it comes to my smut books, I don't need them to be great. Yeah, I just need to be able to have a good time with them. So, and then we have There Are No Saints and There Is No Devil. And then Court of the Vampire Queen. Which again, I have heard some people say that like the writing in this is not great. I don't care. I'm just here for a good time. As long as it's not so terrible that I literally just physically cannot read it, then yeah, I'm good. Inheritance Games, which I'm not going to lie, I thought I had that in hardback, which would be why when I saw this one, I got it in hardback. So it's going to really bother me um, that they're not all the same. But we'll resolve that later. And then Promises and Pomegranates, which I have never actually. So I believe this is like a Persephone Hades retelling, and I know that there are like several like that. I've never done a Persephone Hades retelling, so we're gonna see how this goes. And I know there are a lot of people that like love that. So if you have a favorite one, like Greek mythology retelling Persephone Hades, I think there's one that's even like a whole series, if I remember right. Let me know which one you would recommend. But this one just looked pretty. I liked the description. I'd heard like when I saw it on the shelf, like it rung a bell. So like clearly I'd heard somebody talk about it somewhere before. But yeah, I just decided to get it. And then the next 365 days, I do have 365 days right there. Michelle Marone is like, whew, he's number 2 on my list after Jensen Ackles. So I've definitely watched 365 Days of Time or 2. I have not read the book yet, but I did, funnily enough, I was kind of like rearranging a couple of books on the shelf there. And for some, I knew that 365 Days was originally released in another language. And I bought that book and I was like, wait a minute, I didn't even check to see if this was in English. So I opened it up to make sure that it was in English. And I opened it up to the scene with the telescopic tube. And just kind of read through that and was actually really impressed with like how spot on the movie was to that scene. And so it really kind of made me want to read the rest of it really fast. And then like later that same day, I was at Half Price Books and they had a bunch of these, like a ton of these. There's actually 4 Half Price Books in my city. So I can just kind of do a loop around the city and check them all out, just like spend the afternoon doing it. And every single store had several copies. It made me wish that I'd actually waited because this one has a few little like scratches on it. And I could have definitely gotten a perfect condition one because there were so many. So if you want this, Half Price Books, at least in Indianapolis, every single one had a bunch of them. And then Neon Gods, also by Katie Robert. I have never read a Katie Robert book. And there have been 2 just right here. So we're going to see. Hopefully I like them. And then To Kill a Shadow, which this one I'd actually had my eye on at Book Outlet and then just never really pulled the trigger on it. And then it was not available anymore. And I was actually really sad. So when I saw this at Half Price Books, I was excited and I grabbed it right away. And then how I said I had the full Red Queen series. That's because I actually just finished it up. So I got Broken Throne. And then I have a paperback version of Red Queen. But as I just mentioned with Inheritance Games, I don't like having mixed match because Red Queen was paperback, but all the rest were hardback. And I found a Red Queen hardback at Half Price Books. So I snagged it as well. Which, by the way, if you've read that series, let me know what you think. It is technically like in the YA section at like Half Price Books, which I didn't realize going in it was going to be when I bought the paperback version of Red Queen. And I know about like the whole powerless thing. And I definitely want to read the original. Like I want to read Red Queen as over powerless, but I actually don't know a ton about that series. So if you've read it, let me know your thoughts. Again, it's a good size series. So it'll be a little bit of a commitment for me, but let me know if it's one that I should definitely make sooner rather than later. Okay, we are on to our last stack. There's going to be some odd ones in here. First one is Lovely Bones. I read this, when I was younger. Loved it. It's heartbreaking, obviously. But I saw it at maybe it was Half Price Books, but it was like in the clearance section for like $2 or $3. So I had to grab it. There's this one, Fair Rosaline, which is, it says before Romeo loved Juliet, he loved Fair Rosaline, which I've never actually, I know Romeo, Juliet, Rosaline, all that, but I've never actually like read a story about Romeo and Rosaline. So, and it's just really, really pretty. The camera doesn't do this cover justice. It's actually like a really vibrant kind of corally color. And if anything, it'll be pretty on the shelf. And then this one is kind of for nostalgia factor. it was like one of the first like adult books that I read. When I was in high school, I was reading like Sandra Brown, Mary Higgins Clark, Nicholas Sparks, but I don't know. This one was like the first like mainstream adult, like complex story that I read. And I really, really enjoyed it. And again, it was like on clearance. So why the heck not? And there's this one, Lost Apothecary, which this was another one that I think I'd had my eye on at Book Outlet and like didn't snag. And then I saw it in person. And again, camera is not doing justice. This is so pretty in person. And it was only a few bucks, so I had to grab it. So a lot of these, there was a half price books in Louisville when I was visiting my friend this past weekend, and they had like a clearance section where the books were 50%. So I think that's where I've gotten a few of these. I know this was one of them. So it was 50 cents, and I was just like, why the heck not? Why not? So Dark Corners. This was another one that was 50 cents. Pretty Things, which I think is like a thriller kind of. What was funny though is I was reading the description. So myself and my two like best friends, we kind of started like this little informal book club, and where we're each picking a book for the other ones to read. And I am having them go through the Ruinous Love trilogy. Actually, I only had them do Butcher and Blackbird, and then they wanted to continue with the trilogy because, of course, it's amazing. And a character in that is Lachlan. And then my best friend who lives in Louisville, she had me go through The Housemaid, and character in that is Nina. And then so she and I were actually like together at the thrift store, and I picked it up, and two of the three characters in this book are Nina and Lachlan. So I was like, oh, it's meant to be. It's 50 cents. Why not? And then this was another one, which I've never heard anything about. But the cover, again, camera doesn't really do it justice. You can tell that it's like, the raised design, glossy, and it's actually really pretty. Like it fits my vibe. So yeah. And then this one, I have not read this. I have watched the movie, but the reason I got this is because her time in Bali, she spends some time in Ubud and is at the yoga barn, and I have been there. I spent a month in Bali a few years ago, and we didn't really stay in Ubud, but we went there for like a weekend, and we spent time at the yoga barn. I did an outdoor Tibetan bowl meditation class, and it was awful. One, just because I'm not really for meditation. The experience was great. The place is beautiful. I am somebody who apparently my blood is like fucking crack to mosquitoes and bugs. And with this being an outdoor class, I was eaten alive the entire fucking time. And so like it just made it a miserable experience. I at one point in time had over 50 mosquito bites while I was in Bali. Which is great. It's super comfortable, but also then you're wondering like, oh, am I getting infected with anything? Okay. But yeah, I thought it'd be fun to read the book and just kind of relive that. So this one, I've read it. I read the series. I'm not like a huge ACOTAR girly. I do enjoy the books. I will continue reading the series. I have all of Throne of Glass on audiobook to read into as well. But I'm not like obsessed with this series by any stretch of the imagination. But I have the rest of them in paperback that I've just kind of found here and there used. And I had been on the hunt for this one for a couple of months because I didn't want to really buy it new. I didn't really want to pay full price for it, like new. And so like I wanted a used copy, and I found one that's in new condition. So I finally found it, and I finally can complete the set for what's out now because, we may never get the next book. This one, again, is just a nostalgia. Nicholas Sparks, Walk to Remember. It was super cheap. Why not? Which, funnily enough, I just got this, and then they announced that they're remaking the movie, which, like, what the fuck? Come on. This one is another one that I had my eye on Book Outlet. I almost bought it, literally almost bought it last week. And I got different books instead because whenever I place an order for Book Outlet, it's usually that like I want one specific book, but I refuse to pay for shipping when you get free shipping if it's $35. So like I get just enough books to get me the free shipping. So this one did not make the cut, but then I found it at a freaking thrift store for $1.99. So it's Anatomy, a Love Story, Dana Schwartz. And I'm this one, especially because it is on the smaller side, I think is probably pretty high up on my TBR right now, just because it sounds really interesting. Um, like it's kind of about body snatching, and it takes place in Edinburgh, which is like my favorite city in the whole entire world. Paris is up there, but I love Edinburgh. And so like I just think it sounds really interesting. So, and then this one was another thrift store one, Wishtress. And I read it and I was like, okay, that sounds kind of interesting. Like the tagline is like, her tears grant wishes, her next tear will end her life. And like the description sounded interesting, sounded like it had kind of a fantasy element to it. But then I read that it's published by HarperCollins Christian Publishing. I'm not a religious person. Actually, I hate formal religion, basically. So yeah, we'll see. The thing is though, like if I hadn't read that, nothing else about this seems to like give off like, Christian book vibes. And as a matter of fact, like some of the themes in this, you would think like if somebody was like super hardcore religious, they'd have a problem with it. So I'm a bit confused. If anyone's read this, let me know what you think. Because I'm almost half tempted just to like donate it and not even keep it. And then we have this one, which I also got at a thrift store for 99 cents. Dead Girl in 2A also sounded really interesting. To the point where like this might be towards the top of my TBR. So let me know if you've read it and what you think, and like if it's worth it, because it sounds like it's going to be lots of twists and turns and just really suspenseful. So curious to know if that's actually the case. Then the next one, in addition to being obsessed with the Empyrean series, I'm even more obsessed with Supernatural. And there's a series of books, 17 books that are all out of print now. And so I've been just kind of collecting them as I find them. And so I did find another one. So I think I'm up to like 7 now in the series that I have. And then this last one might seem real odd. It's a nostalgia thing. So it's North and South. In high school, same said friend who lives in Louisville, we discovered this DVD series at our library and we checked them out, and we would we fell in love with the series. It's about like 2 brothers, one goes to war for the South, one goes to war for the North. And it's just, it's like this, I mean, I don't even remember how many like DVDs in the series there were. But it was really good. And we loved it so much that like, we're also broke college kids. So we, instead of like going and buying it, we would literally just like take turns checking it out from the library. So we could just like always have it to watch it whenever we wanted. And we were, at Half Price Books, and she actually found it and she was like, oh, look at this. And I was like, well, I'm getting it. Because I've never actually like read the book that the the mini series is based on. So, okay, that is everything. Those are all my books for February. Eclectic picks, which is usually how it goes. Again, let me know. What have you read? What did you love? What did you hate? What did you DNF? All your thoughts. All your thoughts without spoilers. Okay. I will hopefully see you in the next video when I do a review of the books that I read in February, which by the way will have actually I may even include January as well. So I don't even remember. That's going to include Onyx Storm, obviously. I'm doing a reread of that right now. As Those Above Fall, which is actually written by my friend, Caitlin Ladd. I'm doing a reread of that right now. And then I did Lights Out. I did Scythe and Sparrow, which is the 3rd book in the Ruinous Love trilogy. It came out this month. The Housemaid's Secret, Phantasma. I don't know. I think there's 1 or 2 more. I just don't remember off the top of my head. So I'll talk about all those books in the next video. Hopefully I'll see you on that one.